Okay, looks like we're good to go. Okay, welcome all to our March Community Council meeting. We'll go ahead and jump into it. The March agenda is attached on the website if anyone wants to reference it there. To kick off, we should review our meeting minutes of the prior meeting. Rick, would you be willing to review those for us?
Yep, no problem. Okay. Okay. From last time on February 3rd, we welcomed everybody to the meeting. We introduced Adam and Kim Landon. We talked about the technology needs for allocation of new laptops and devices. The district is going to be able to put some money forward, and Adam was asking us for some money. He also mentioned the need, STS having 3 priorities: buying the right technology and stuff. Is stuff working? STS does training, teaching, and coaching. He spent most of his time making sure stuff was just working, but he's maybe thought we could help consider freeing up his time by trying to find a technology coach.
Well, having him serve as a technology coach.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes.
We also discussed the reading Acadience testing data. We talked about, we reviewed our goals. We reviewed cohort data. Kim Landon presented some of the deep dive data, talking about herself and having a passion to help kids learn to read. We talked about a systemic approach that's personalized for each student, having a plan. Adam discussed some of the plans around personalization and the time frame for the end of year assessment. We closed the meeting. We tabled the Math Acadience data discussion and the House survey data discussion. We're looking for more survey data for that. And Dan was going to have and gather staff feedback this meeting around fund allocation and goals. We adjourned, I seconded, and the meeting ended.
Yeah, those meeting minutes match my understanding of what we covered, so I'd motion that we approve them.
I second that motion.
Cool. Thank you, Rick. So, as you mentioned, 2 of the things that we tabled to this time are the House Academy survey data and the math data. So those are on our agenda in addition to the Trustland budget planning. And so let's go ahead and kick off the meeting and start with that one, Trustland budget planning. Mr. Hanson, did you want to speak to this one?
I'm actually, if it's okay, I think if it's okay, maybe let's go over the House Academy survey first.
Okay.
And then, and I'll explain in a hot second, but, and then I was going to have Mrs. Strader maybe go over the math data, and then I will go over the budget, the feedback and stuff regarding goals in the budget on the tail end. I think Mrs. Strader's information kind of segues into that. And I know that we were wanting to look at the House Academy survey data from kids. And so I thought that it was great data. So I'm just going to hurry and jump in if that's okay.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, thanks. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to look to the side. Let's see on my other monitor. So this is our survey. Everybody can see it?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. And this is our House Academy survey. We had designed the survey to try to get responses from younger grades as well. First grade in particular. Kindergarten it's been difficult. They haven't been able to participate in the house lunch because they don't go to lunch. And then our house meetings are on Friday afternoon, so we're not really hitting a large portion of our students. Mrs. Gee facilitated the survey during computer science time, but we still had a large number of responses, so we feel like it's pretty good data. So one of the very first questions that we asked was, the King House Academy system has helped me make friends with students on different grade levels. That was one of the things that we were kind of curious about. You can see here that the blue is the agree, so a little bit less than 50% of kids. We had a larger amount of neutral kids as far as helping them make friends. And I think that some of that data could be because the activities are fairly structured, where there's not a lot of like, I guess, free time we have done getting to know you activities and things like that in there, but maybe that may have contributed to, that type of response. I'm going to move on. So number 5, the King House Academy system has helped improve my relationships with other adults. And so you can see, compared to the last slide, there's a larger portion of kids that are feeling more connected to adults other than the classroom teachers. So that was kind of fun to see. Another question we asked was, participating in the house system has increased my school pride. We actually had even more kids say that yes, that it has increased their school pride. So our blue, our area of blue is continuing to kind of grow with each of these questions. So that's that's exciting to kind of see that. The next question we asked was, I enjoy the contests and the trophies that are awarded to the houses throughout the year. So it sounds like that's kind of an effective activity that the kids like doing. I think as long as we kind of are maintaining that, friendly competition atmosphere, and we're getting trophies for for the houses and stuff like that. And so we think it's been a fun activity to do. We need to try to come up with a better place to put the trophies, I think, in our school or somewhere where we can display them. We have our little bulletin board to the side of the main office that has a little certificate for the contest that each house has won. So that's what we're doing. But yeah, I think that that's something that we can try to more openly display some of those trophies. This next question, I have enjoyed the house lunches throughout the year. This is great. And, one thing that we've really tried to do is we've really tried to encourage our teachers to get into the house lunches, to eat lunch with their house, so that they're interacting with a bunch of different kids that are not necessarily their students from their classroom. And I think that the house lunches and the survey question, where kids are feeling more comfortable with more adults in the school, are kind of related, because if you get a chance to eat food, eat lunch with a teacher that's maybe not your teacher, then you kind of get to know them on a more personal level and things like that. So we're excited about that kids are enjoying the house lunches. Number 9, I have enjoyed the house.
How often are those house lunches?
Sorry, what?
How often are the house lunches?
The house lunches, so we were doing them, we've only been doing them once a month, and we've been doing the house meetings twice a month. But you can see, I'll just flip back and forth between these two graphs, that according to the kids, the house lunches are more popular than the house meetings are. So that's something that we can take back to our House Academy committee that Mrs. Bertram heads up with, along with our house lead. So I thought that was interesting data there. Yeah. And then this next slide is, overall, I have enjoyed the King Academy House program this year. And so that's kind of that one. Now, I did do 2 open-ended questions. So the first,
I have a quick question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Can you give me like a high-level overview of like how a house lunch is different than a house meeting? I don't know what I don't know what's happening, and I'm just curious what the differences are.
Sure.
Can I answer that one, Dan?
You go for it.
Okay, so typically children, when they come into lunch, they're assigned a seat to sit with their class. On House Academy Day, there's music playing, and we have centerpieces that have each house, so they sit with other students in their grade level. They're mixed up in their own houses, and then adults who are in their house come and sit with them, and they do their house cheers, and we try to make it more festive and just build a lot of house pride. I think a lot of there's a lot of opportunities for building house pride that other schools have done that we haven't because of COVID, like doing the cheers at the beginning of assemblies, because we've been really limited in that. And I think the way our school is set up, that it's not conducive to big groups because we don't have big gathering places like other schools have, like most schools have a big gym. Yeah, so we're kind of, we've had some challenges, but I feel like they're getting better every time, and we're really learning from our mistakes, which is a great way to learn.
Okay, so to the PowerPoint and to the house meetings, Rick, you know, we try to do structured activities. You know, the house meetings are either getting to know you activities. I know we have done some SEL or social emotional learning activities. I know we've done some team building activities. So we've kind of done, you know, a variety of different things. One thing that I would like to personally see more is more student-led in trying to build house pride and focusing on some of the different aspects of the houses, like our house animals, the country of origin, some of the symbolism in our house signs. I think that there's a ton of different activities that we could relate back to the house that I think that could be fun for kids. So I actually asked 3 open-ended questions, although the one open-ended question, I didn't provide one because a lot of the responses didn't quite make sense. So I didn't think that it was quite as valid. But one of the responses that we asked was, what's your favorite thing about the King House Academy system? And you can see here, new friends was one of the things that was written the most by kids. You know, but I think you can look on here. People are nice. You know, the lunches are cool. The competitions are fun. I get time with my friends and teachers. So those are some things that students are enjoying about the house system. And then with this one, what can we do to make the King Academy house system better? They're wanting activities with 2 houses. They did bring up the meeting places, just like Leslie talked about how, you know, we're struggling to find some meeting places that are big enough to try to house everybody. We've talked about dividing our houses and maybe into smaller chunks too. Some people want a bigger house, you know, parties for a house, or some kids are interested in switching houses. I think if we facilitated some activities where kids from more than one house could interact, I think that would probably address some of those things. The house merchandise. So yeah, those are just that was a couple of open-ended questions that we provided. So that is pretty much our data there. Does anybody have any questions about that survey?
I will say the overall response seems very positive.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so too. I was, you know, it's nice to see those things. The part that I loved was, you know, having more than one trusted adult at the school. To me, that was huge. To me, I was like, okay, that's what we're going for, is we're going for kids to feel connected to more than just one person, you know, at the school. And, you know, I love walking down the halls and somebody gives me, you know, the reverse sign to let me know they're in my house, you know, and I give them a little bit more attention and excitement. You know, I'm like, hey, that's one of my guys. That's one of, you know, that's one of my people in my house. So anyway, yeah, I think it's been a positive thing.
I think we'll just get better and better too, because I feel like we've made a lot of productive mistakes and and that we're moving in some really good directions, but we really would like to beef up the adult mentoring program with that we match up adults with kids with specific needs. And we hope to do that through our SEL committee.
Okay. Yeah, so it was also a pretty good survey sample size. It was 206 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And there's
excellent.
what, like
Dan. Good job.
530 kids in the school, something like that.
I think we're sitting at like I want to say we're closer to like 480.
Oh, okay. So an even
Yeah,
greater
so pretty good. I
percentage.
mean, I think it was a sample size of about 50, and we had representation across all the grades.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so I kind of gave that job to Mrs. Gee to try to facilitate in kind of computer science, and so we're happy. We know we could have gotten more kids to do
That's
this.
That's a pretty good sample size.
Yeah, I was appreciative to her. I just said, hey, I need you to facilitate this survey. So I built the survey for her, and then just trying to get her to facilitate it during the computer science time and stuff like that. So
we've also, most schools that have adopted this program have sent their team leads away to a big rah training where they've really got some great training. And we just started without that, just by meeting with other faculties. So we hope to get more training for our lead team too.
Okay. Would that potentially be part of the trust land money, or how would that be funded?
it could be. We could use land trust, or I could use TSSA money. So we would. Sounds like we're still kind of facilitating some discussions about that and who we could try to send to get some more training. But so we'll get into the budget in just a hot second.
Okay.
As far as recommendations go that way. But maybe Kelly, if you want to jump into your math data presentation, and welcome, and it's nice to see you again. Since January, I believe, is the last time Mrs. Strader was here.
I was gonna say I saw you earlier today, but I got it. All right.
I think it was actually December.
Yeah. Oh, December.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
I trust Adam. He's got a way better memory than me.
I don't know about that.
All right. Are you guys ready for the exciting stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and if you remember, in December, we talked about Acadience is the state mandated K-3 assessment screener that everybody has to give. But throughout the year, and I kind of put it in purple, but it's just they've really stressed the importance of knowing it's just a screener, and it's used to identify children that need extra help, and it's not identifying kids that we would deem proficient. That like they relate it to a thermometer and just checking to see how they're doing. So for kindergarten in the middle of the year, which their measures are the same, but these are the three measures. We talked about them at the beginning of the year, but I didn't have examples on the screen. So these are the three different measures that the kindergartners are given: beginning quantity discrimination, number identification, and next number fluency. And then we just have how they went from beginning of year to middle of year. So beginning of year was August, September-ish, and then middle of year was given in January. So here for the kindergartners, we unfortunately saw a decrease, just a slight decrease in our blues and green kiddos. But since then, we've kind of worked with Dan. Mr. Hansen has set up a strategic IA program where we have 2 IAs that are kind of spread out through the school, but based on need, and seeing the kindergarten growth on the math assessment. We've kind of placed one full-time in there to help run small groups and to assist the teachers with those kiddos.
Just try to help. Yeah, just try to help increase the amount of growth, that we're seeing, in those classrooms. So we placed an instructional assistant to to get in there and to help facilitate some of that small group instruction that we're trying to facilitate. So.
And then with them, there's also just with the way that the kindergarten curriculum aligns to the Acadience math test, we've just made sure that all the daily routines are happening that kind of just go over each of the measures on a daily basis. So these are the individuals. It's really small on my screen. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, we can see it okay.
Oh, okay. So
We can
those
see
are
it.
just the individual, but all those individual components make up the composite score. And what I did want to point out is if you look at the average of each of the measures, they did go up. So it's not that the kindergartners aren't showing growth. And you can look over here where the different bands are decided by. They're increasing. They're just not increasing at what the Acadience pathway is set up to show that they are staying at that green or blue level.
Oh, so the measurement actually gets harder throughout the year.
Yeah, so for each
Okay.
of the Acadian, each one and all grade levels, they stay the same complexity for the test throughout the year. But and you can kind of see just at one of these, the beginning quantity discrimination for blue goes from 6 to 10 to 16. So
Okay.
yeah, and I don't know, I just thought it was important to point out to those teachers because their data was a little defeating that they were growing. We just need them to get more fluent so that they can be a little faster and align with the pathway of progress.
Yeah, and we're just really trying to focus on the rate of the growth that's occurring. We know that our kids are growing, and again, this is pathways of progress data. It's not proficiency data, but we just are really trying to focus on what can we do to help our kids grow faster.
Okay.
Good. All right, so for first grade, I don't know if you remember, but the beginning of year had 7 different tests that they had to take just to kind of see how they were coming into the year. But in middle of year, they're down to 2 of these individual tests, and then they take a computation test as a whole group. So for the first grade, if you look here, you saw a 16% increase in our at benchmark or above benchmark students. And then you can see just by looking that the red part of the little pie graph shrunk significantly. So we're pretty pleased with their data.
Yeah, great news.
And then you can kind of see by breakdown, and I don't know, I like this one because you can see that the advanced quantity discrimination and the missing number fluency, that they're almost half blue on those. So then they've been kind of using some of the Acadience progress monitoring materials for computation to kind of hopefully get that blue and green part to match the other 2 measures. All right, for second grade and third grade, both, they only have 2 different tests and they're both given whole group. For second grade, their composite score, the proficient in well above grew about 7%. But once again, those teachers kind of were looking at this computation portion. It's just a quick test, so they're kind of just teaching some of their students some test taking strategies. And then with the concepts and applications, it's a lot of reading for those second grade students. So they're just introducing some of the vocab that is seen on the test and using some word walls and just some practice of some of the problems that they might see. And then third grade, we just saw the amount of blue and green, it went down by 4%. So this is another area where we've put some emphasis on with the strategic IAs. We've have them assigning individualized assignments on the adaptive software that we use, and they're also assigning and grading some individualized assignments through Canvas to kind of help those teachers target the students that really need targeted. Any questions about Acadience?
Nothing from me, Rick or Sydney.
No, this looks good. Thanks for sharing this.
Told you it was super exciting. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so now our TSSP data, the CFA that was created last year with teachers, it's given to every student in the school. But this is just a reminder of the school improvement plan goal, which is 70% of students will demonstrate proficiency on these tests. And I think in this measure, proficient is 85%. Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this was promising from our kindergarten, the beginning of year to middle of year. The amount of proficient students increased by 42%.
And just to clarify to everybody, our testing window is right now for the third measurement. So you're looking at our beginning of year, and when was the testing? This is December data. Is that correct or no? Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. December.
Oh, okay. So
So
the end of
just-
year is right now.
The end of year is right now. So unfortunately, we don't have those results to share with you right now. But we, you can kind of hopefully look at the trajectory of certain grade levels. Again, the goal is to try to have 70% of our kids proficient. And, although that's our goal for the March testing window, we still have time to work on that until May. We're just reporting on it now in March. So, when we get you the testing window data from this week, then we'll kind of figure out what we need to do to make that last push to try to have 70% of our kids proficient by the end of the year. Sorry to interrupt, Kelly.
All good. All right. So then with first grade, just like with Acadians, I feel like we saw growth there. We saw some growth here where the amount of proficient and limited students grew by 28%. Second grade, they saw a growth of the proficient and limited students by 18%. Third grade saw an increase of 12%. So just so far, it's one of the lower increases that we've seen. So once again, that's why, Mr. Hansen, we've kind of focused those strategic IAs with kind of implementing some of that small group instruction with the third graders. And then fourth grade saw a 39% increase in proficient and limited students. And I don't know if you remember, but this was the grade level that had some PCBL components thrown in there. So we actually, from our deep data dive in January, just focused on that teacher a little bit and suggested some things of some small group and focusing on some of those students that are kind of stuck with his PCBL instruction. So just saying that because I'm pretty excited to see his data and see how it looks now after this testing window.
What does PCBL stand for?
Personalized competency-based learning.
Okay.
And that is so the state of Utah has released their portrait of a graduate, their PCBL framework. Right now, they've been developing their tools to try to help local school districts implement. We're in local implementation phase right now. They've been working on supports and getting all that in place the last 2 years. And I've been talking to our staff about it for the last 2 years since I've been at King. It's something that I did at my prior school. And I'm passionate about it because I think it can really help kids. And so we're excited that we have staff members at King that are continuing to work towards shifting their instructional pedagogy to align with what the state of Utah is wanting all school districts to move towards.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
And then with that teacher centering his class around PCBL, he's also branched out to the other fourth grade classes. So I guess we'll see where that goes. But then the fifth grade is also kind of interesting. They had kind of switched to the PCBL model right before, only like 2 weeks before this middle of year test. So once again, excited to see kind of what the data shows after this end of year testing window to see their growth. But even, their growth, they grew 16% with the proficient and limited students. And then 6th grade, we saw the limited students increase by 3%. For that basically the whole window, beginning of year to middle of year, we had one of the 2 teachers that was out on maternity leave and with a sub in the classroom. So I think, and with some of the things they're doing some small group instruction with some targeting a lot of these skills, I think for the end of the year, once again, excited to see their growth and their data. All right, and that brings us to some feedback that we got from the teachers on all of the different assessments. So I think when the goal was set last year, Acadians wasn't even mandated yet. So just getting some feedback. A lot of the feedback was that teachers are pulled in all different directions with the school improvement goal data, the essential skills, and the Acadians, which is state law, so they have to do it anyways. So Dan has kind of taken that feedback and developed this goal that will allow them for more input on what essential skills go towards meeting the goal. Mr. Hansen, do you want to read it? I feel like it's your baby.
Yeah, it's a shift from kind of what we've been focusing on slightly, but not a lot. So to kind of reiterate to Adam and Sydney and Rick and everyone, we understand the power of formative data that you collect along the way that can guide your instruction. If you're not taking your temperature along the way, if you're not checking the map on your way to your destination, then you're going to end up somewhere you don't want to be. And so the whole concept of developing the math CFAs was to give our teachers actual data points that they could be checking their instruction along the way instead of just blindly teaching the curriculum and then hoping that by the end of the year the kids had learned, what they were supposed to. So when we started doing the math CFAs, we developed these common formative assessments. That's what CFA stands for. And, we had the teachers work with our math coach to determine, but then this year we had Math Acadians that was brought up. And so teachers were like, okay, we're giving math CFAs, but we're also giving Math Acadians. And as we have been working towards refining our curriculum mapping and planning process that our teachers go through to get ready and provide that targeted instruction to our students, we have been talking about the importance of identifying essential skills in our curriculum. Essential skills they're the big rocks. If you're familiar with that, analogy of putting the big rocks in the jar and then you put the little rocks and then you put the sand.
Yep.
Well, the big rocks are the essential skills. And so we've been working on trying to have teachers identify what those are and to provide more time and intensity of instruction dedicated to those essential skills to try to get more bang for our buck on what we're trying to help kids walk away with. So some teachers, aligned, I guess, their math CFA with their essential skill, and some teachers did not. And so for a few teachers and grade levels at the beginning of this year, with the advent of Math Acadians, they were looking at basically 3 separate math assessments that they were giving, which for some of the teachers, that was overwhelming for them to try to be managing all those things. The essential skills are teacher driven and content specialist driven. And so we rely on our math coach to help provide feedback to teachers, on what essential skills and things that they choose. We've had some refining. This year was the first year that we have really worked towards our essential skills. We're just like anything new, we're going to continue to refine it. When I went to the faculty to try to get feedback on, hey, what kind of math goal do we want to make? Most of the feedback I got was, hey, let's make it on essential skills. So that's what we've done here. Now, every grade level has a different essential skill, and I'm a huge fan of measuring growth and trying to get teachers to focus on growth, because if we can get kids to grow, then the proficiency will take care of itself. Plus, growth tells the whole story. It allows us to celebrate every child and their growth, regardless of whatever proficiency level they're at. So we've come up with this goal in grade levels K through 6. Grade level teams have identified essential math skills that should be mastered by each student before moving on to the next grade level. Based on fiscal year 23, beginning of year essential math skill data, all students identified as below proficient or approaching proficiency, and I put in the percentages, will increase their individual level of mastery by 20 percentage points based on the fiscal year 23 middle of year student data. As Kelly and I were discussing the goal, there are some kids who are proficient and they score high at the beginning, and 20% of percentage points wasn't possible for them. And even you can see that our yellow is 60 to 84%. We were going to put the goal a little bit lower because if a child scores in the low 80%, they may not be capable of achieving the 20%. But our original goal was 15, but we felt like still we wanted to try to push it. And so we made the goal for 20%, a percentage point increase. So that's kind of the essential skill goal that we want to move forward with. Does anybody have any questions about that goal?
I have one quick one. Can you just talk about like what it means when they say each student before moving on to next? What does moving on to next grade level mean here?
Meaning just moving on to the next grade level, meaning if you're a second grade student moving on to third grade.
Like third grade math or third grade generally?
It's a math goal. When we're talking about, math, if I'm looking at the statement, it says the teams have identified essential math skills that should be mastered by each student before moving on to the next grade level. I think probably the next, that we're talking about specifically about math. So I guess we're referring to math.
Okay. So like if they master like second grade math, they can move on to third grade math.
Right.
Okay.
Is what we would like, and we're talking about just specifically the mastery of essential skills, not the mastery of the entire curriculum. We're talking about the mastery of a very small set of skills that, like, if we can choose one skill for 100% of our kids to have before they leave the grade level, this is the skill. So like kindergarten, I think was it kindergarten, Kelly, you were telling me about is add and subtract. No, it was first grade. Add and subtract numbers 1 through 10, 1 through 20. What was it? Yes. Which one?
Their standard is fluently within 10.
Within 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that is the skill. And the nice thing that some teachers have been able to take the Math Acadians screening assessment, and they've been able to kind of use that and say, okay, is this math screener kind of measuring some of the same things that we feel like should be the essential skill? And first grade was like, yes, we're working on addition and subtraction, which is also a measurement with Acadians. And so that was kind of fun for them to kind of see the connection and be like, okay, Math Acadians is measuring it. We feel that it's important, and that this is what we're going to focus on, trying to make sure that all of our kids have that skill down pat before they leave first grade.
Gotcha.
Any other questions about the math goal?
None from me.
Okay. I'm going to, thank you, Kelly. And does anybody have any questions for Kelly? Do you have one more slide, Mrs. Trader?
Well, I do, and it says, thanks.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Well, okay. And you already said any questions, so basically,
I am so
we go.
sorry.
All
That's
right,
called
Stole the thunder.
hashtag stealing your thunder right there. Boom.
good. It's all good.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna very quickly touch on our other two language arts goals. I'm going to share my screen again, and let's see. Maybe I need to actually get out of here for a second. Okay, I'm going to try it one more time. There we go. Oops. Okay, yeah. So this is just a little history on our language arts. Go. But somebody, wait, it's me. I'm hearing myself. I can't see everybody. Okay. Okay. So wanted to remind you that we made this goal where we started making cohort goals. So as you can see right up here on my screen, we took a measurement of the fiscal year 20 K through 5 group, and then we got rid of the kindergarten and switched it up to 6th grade so that we're basically measuring the same group of students, if that makes sense. And this is a middle of year to a middle of year. And if we look at our data there, we improved the percentage of students achieving average, above average, or well above average growth by 7.4%. And that's what these bands are. So we want at least 60%, because a normal distribution is 20% in each band right here. And we want kids in green, light blue, or dark blue, which we were shooting for at least 60. So when we made growth here, we were not at 60. I forgot what the number is there. But and then this is what we got that same group up the following year, and it was 7.4%. Oh, right here, sorry. 56% of students, and then we measured the same group and we got it up to 63.4. So we did it. So we did it that year. We were pumped, I remember, and we were excited about it. And so we made the same type of goal because it's a new cohort of students. And so we took fiscal year 21 K through 5. So that's some of the kids from this group, but not all of the kids. And then we compared those, or we tried to see if we could achieve at least the 60% average again, but our specific goal was to increase by 7%, because if you look back at our data, we did achieve that 7.4 the prior year. So we're like, okay, let's see if we can do it again. Unfortunately, with our data, we were not able to do it again. And, we did have, that's when COVID hit and we had some other things that were happening, that school year, where we had 58.9, but then that same group of kids only measured 53.8. So we actually decreased by 5%. Looking to next year's goal, we still want to make a cohort goal that's focused on growth. And this year, our cohort measure group, you can see on here that we are struggling this year more than we have the prior years, and we're starting at a 44.8%.
Yeah, it's quite a bit lower.
It's way lower. It's about 14% lower. And this is the lowest starting point of all the 3 cohorts that we've had. Now, glass half full, you can be like, well, if we're this low, then we actually have quite a large opportunity to grow. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I looked at if we can even get back to a midway point of where we were with those first 2 cohort groups. With 14%, that wouldn't put us at a 60% average. It would put us just below. But if I've taken how we've performed the last 2 years, and I looked at basically kind of an average of the 2 cohort groups of how we've been able to perform, I still want to shoot for this. I know that we're sitting lower in the water with this cohort, but I still think that we have people that are ready to work hard. I feel like people keep telling me that we have the right culture to be able to do this at our school. And so, I think we can do it. So that right now is my proposed goal for our cohort pathways of progress goal, is to increase by 14%. And then our second ELA goal is our kindergarten goal. So if you look at, did I skip? Let's see, no. 2 years ago, we had 56.4% of our students that were making average or above growth. So we weren't even hitting that 60% threshold. Last year we dipped down even lower to 39.2, only 39.2% of our kids. And then this year, this is what it looks like. You know, I'm not going to mince words about it. It doesn't look good. We are trying to provide as many resources as we can to try to help fix again, this is just to reiterate, this is growth, not proficiency. So I don't want everybody to think that we have this many kids in kindergarten that are not proficient. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that our kids are not growing. They're not growing at an average rate. They're growing at a below average rate, which is definitely something that we're trying to rectify. At Kindergarten Roundup, I discussed with our kindergarten parents that we'll be providing an extended day kindergarten. Part of that is to try to combat, you know, some of this lack of growth that some of our kids are making in order to try to help boost some of that. We're still trying to promote our Lion Academy program and our virtual extended day kindergarten program. So I feel like we have a lot of resources. We're also putting additional personnel in kindergarten, you know, and I just had a conversation with Kim Landon today, and she said, you better watch out for the growth that we're going to make in kindergarten by the end of the year. She's pretty optimistic.
And fierce.
And fierce. Yep. She's a fierce woman. So
she
said, yeah, she feels excited, and she really wants, you know, they're really trying to work hard with our kindergarten kids to get those growth measures up. So as far as our goal goes, we still want to maintain that goal because since I have been here at King Elementary, we have yet to achieve this goal. We've come close to the goal, but we haven't quite yet achieved it. And so it's something that we want to keep aiming for. So those are our two proposed goals for language arts. The last goal that we have, so we have the math goal, the two language arts goals. We are still a targeted support, or excuse me, targeted school improvement school due to how our special education population is performing. We're underperforming there, but we have not had the opportunity to get any data to see if the interventions that we're doing are working. Oh, and the other thing I was going to mention too is I don't know if parents, if you're aware of all of the reading training that currently all of our teachers are doing. It's called Letters. It's the science of reading. All teachers in the Davis School District are doing it right now. And we're super excited the teachers are excited about what they're learning. And I can tell that it's going to change their instruction, and that we're going to get better at helping kids, you know, learn how to read, and some of those progress measures that we're seeing with our Pathways of Progress. I know that this training is going to make a big difference with it.
Yeah, it's great to know. I think we talked about that once last year.
Yep.
We're seeing them change their practice as we're going to do observations. We're seeing taking good teaching and making it great by addressing specific concerns that are really going to make a difference.
Right. Cool. And they're learning new things. Like, to me, that's the key takeaway, is that they're learning things that they never knew before. And whether you're an experienced teacher, I mean, or whether you're a brand new teacher, the university programs and the pre-service teacher programs haven't had this type of science of reading instruction for teachers yet. And so it's exciting for me because regardless of how experienced you are, I feel like it's having an impact on their understanding of how kids learn to read, and it's going to have an impact on their classroom practices. So we're excited about that. So as far as the goals go, those are kind of the goals. I have to make a choice between posting on our website that we are a TSI school, or making it a goal on our TSSP. And I have I've chosen to put it as a goal the last 2 years, but unfortunately, with the testing issues, I don't have any fresh data to know of whether we've achieved our goal or not. So I'm hoping to be able to actually collect some data this spring so that I can know if we're moving in the right direction with helping that specific subgroup of special education students or not. It's a little bit hard to know. We have informal formative data that we look at with our special education team, but it would be nice to kind of get another measurement to kind of see how we're doing that way. I know we're about out of time, and it's actually an okay thing because I wanted to tell you, Adam, that I provided teachers an opportunity to provide feedback about the land trust budget, and some of the teachers have provided some late feedback to me that I think we should take into consideration before I send the budget. But I'm just have a very quick PowerPoint that features some of the feedback that I got. From teachers, but the teacher feedback summary, you can look at it right here. Mainly teachers were talking to me about being supportive of continuing to receive stipends for completing training and making themselves better. They were interested in making sure that they still had instructional assistants to help them pursue targeted small group instruction in the classroom. They were supportive of investing in technology, and then they were also interested in miscellaneous software that would help them in the classroom, whether it's provide data, formative data to help guide their instruction, or just using software that help provide adaptive instruction for their kids. So administrative feedback is I think that it would be wise to, given the survey data about the house system, and Mrs. Bertram mentioned that depending on how much it would cost to provide additional training about the house system, that's something that I think we should consider. We have a new program that's being run by our school counselor that's called a HUGS program, and it's a check-in, check-out system. Leslie, do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, we have a large number of students. A lot of kids aren't achieving at school because they're not there. A large number of our kids that are currently, we have about 35 kids in that program that come in. Sydney helps with it. So Sydney, you can chime in. They come in, they have goals for the day, and a lot of them have the goal just to stay at school, get their work done, just good school things that every kid needs to do that they haven't been doing with COVID and things. They check in, have their goals, and they have 4 to 5 check-ins during the day with the adults that they work with. And then they check out at the end of the day. So it's really like a tracker system, but there's so many children involved in it that it's really no big deal, and it fits into the flow of the classroom. And kids who need that positive reinforcement have their high expectations set at the beginning of the day. They also have a coping skill every day that helps them with things that COVID has brought out, like anxiety or just any kind of stress and how to deal with that. They have those expectations during the day. They're checking with their teacher, and then they check out with us and they receive a small reward or prize with incentives. We see kids really change through the program, and we graduate them out and welcome in more. And I've been at other schools that have done this program, but I've never seen a higher need, I think, as a result of COVID, and the kids are anxious and the parents are anxious. So I'm really seeing the kids respond to it well, seeing a lot of kids doing a lot better due to the program. Sydney, anything you can add?
Yeah, I was just thinking one thing I've noticed just from helping is that I think that so they set like a goal of how many points they want to earn throughout the day. And I've noticed that when I interact with kids, when they get so excited to come in and tell me, like they put their little clipboard in my face and like, look, I met my goal. Like I think it gives them their own little personal, they get to win. They get a little win. And if it's just that they were at school, yeah. It's like if I was at school all day and they win, like they get control over what their little wins are. And I think that is such a positive thing for the students.
Right. So, I know we're running out of time, but Miss Rebecca has done a great job of starting it. We're just thinking that we probably could provide some monetary support to the program to make sure that she has the supplies that she needs in order to kind of keep doing the program. So that was one.
Okay.
Am I still sharing my PowerPoint currently?
You
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So you can look. Those are just basically a whole bunch of different areas, Scholastic News substitutes. We are going to be doing Math Acadians with 4th through 6th grade, so we got to buy some classroom kits. We have miscellaneous software requests and supply requests from teachers. So what I propose to do, Adam, is I would like to send you, because I got some of this feedback a little bit later, I'm going to send you a proposed budget. We'll post it on the community council, and I propose that we meet again Thursday after you guys have had time to look at the budget throughout the week. We can talk about, you can give me feedback or whatever, and then we can meet on Thursday just to call for a vote on the budget, if that's okay.
On next Thursday?
Yes.
I have a conflict next Thursday.
Okay, we can do it on a different date, and we can talk about it on Teams on when, and then I'll announce it.
Yeah,
to
that works.
Announce it to the community. So.
Okay.
Okay. Are we gonna get shut off when it's 7? Okay. Let's just keep going, but we'll try to end things really fast, just in case it kicks us off.
I'm excited that Dan's really trying to listen to the teachers, and as the teachers learn more about good teaching strategies and practices, it's reflected in the things they want at school. So it's both ways. He's giving them what they want because they want better things.
Yeah, that's great to hear. We'll definitely try and allocate the money to where it'll be most useful. Unfortunately, there's a cap on it. Yeah, we'll try and allocate it in the best way we can.
Sure.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So I know the IAs are used in the school to like go in and they rotate every like 25 to 30 minutes. And like I saw through like Kelly's data that there are like certain grade levels that are struggling more than others. And I'm sure that even can be as specific as certain classrooms. Is it possible that IAs can like, instead of being on a set schedule of like every 25 minutes, you rotate that like maybe one IA or two IAs spends 2 hours with, or 1 hour with this class or this grade to help provide more support? Or does this IA schedule fit in with like the teacher's classroom schedule? Does that make sense?
Yeah, the question is a great question, and the short answer is yes, it totally is possible. We do have a schedule that's set up. I think that the teachers at King have used instructional assistants for a long time, and they expect them to be used in a certain way, where they have a certain schedule and they're there for an amount of time. Like Kelly, I think mentioned that we're using strategic IAs right now, where we're actually trying to put support in some hot spots, I guess, if you will, where we're trying to help kids based on the data of what's showing. And so we would like to continue to move in that direction. And so, I think we have similar feelings to you, Sydney, that we think that would be a great way to use our instructional assistants. And, while we're here at King, we're going to continue to try to move the use of IAs in that direction.
That's been an emphasis of Dan from the beginning and a great concern. And I think we spent a lot of time just staffing and training. And now, especially going into next year, that'll be more based on need and data driven, where those IAs are and for how long.
Okay, great question. Thank you for asking. Okay, I think go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think we're about there. Seems like the key topics for April then will be the reading cadence data. We had a topic of, is common sense digital citizenship working? So maybe that's something we can coordinate on talking about. And then, yeah, just anything that's still outstanding with the land trust budget or anything like that. But then we'll look to meet in between meetings, right? To review that
Right.
land trust.
Just to get
proposal.
it approved. Yep.
Okay. That sounds
Thank you
good.
so much. Go ahead. Sorry, Adam.
Oh, I didn't have anything else. So I propose we adjourn.
I second it.
All right. Yeah, thanks all.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate all of your
Thank
input.
you.
Yep, thanks.
See ya.
Thank you.